G'day folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. No, I have absolutely no idea why I'm Australian all of a sudden, so we'll put a stop to that right now, because it's very silly and it's just offending all the Australian and New Zealand viewers. Okay, right, yes. Gonna get serious now. Here we go. The Jagdpanzer IV. Man, this is a machine none of you thought you'd ever be seeing me taking a look at anytime soon. I don't hate this thing as much as I hate the M3 League, but I'm not very fond of the Jagdpanzer IV. And the reasons I wasn't very fond of the Jagdpanzer IV were it's a travesty to the German tank destroyer line. The German tank destroyer line is just one long, unbroken streak of quality and excellence until you reach Tier 6. Well, that's not strictly true. I mean, the Panzerjäger is, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Panzerjäger, I think it's Jaeger, anyway, whatever. This is fun. This is alright. It's not bad at all. It's only Tier 2, what do you expect? The Marder 2 used to be good, and it got nerfed something like 10 straight patches in a row, and it was useless by the time it had been nerfed 8 straight patches in a row, but they just kept nerfing it, and now it's just, this thing is... You guys... grinding your way up from the start at Tier 3, playing this thing with a 50% crew, you have my sympathies. You have no idea how good this used to be. But those days are long gone. But then Tier 4, you get the Hetzer, and the Hetzer's fun. Hetzer's gonna Hetz. It's a good little machine. The frontal armour is really good. It's very stealthy. It's pretty quick, and it gets a decent selection of guns. It's a fun little tank. The Stug 3 is amazing. All of the Tier 5 tank destroyers are good. They all are just... I mean, they've all got something special about them. The Stug is fast, stealthy, it's got a rapid-fire, high-penetration, accurate 75mm gun. It's just good stuff. The only real downside to the Stug is it gets one-shotted by KV-1Ss, because it only has 350 hit points. And it has a fairly limited ammo capacity. I have lost games because I was the only competent player on my team and I just ran out of ammunition when driving this thing, But that's not really a problem with the machine. I mean, it's a good machine. The Dickermax is a premium, so I'm going to skip that for now. Come back to the Jagdpanzer IV in a minute. The Jagdpanther at Tier 7 is fantastically good fun. Gets a great selection of guns. Again, it's fast, it's got decent armour from the front, it's pretty stealthy, it's an all-round great machine. Skip the Jagdtiger 88, again it's a premium. The Ferdinand, what's not to like about the Ferdinand? It is awesome. The Jagdpanther 2, equally good. The Jagdtiger, that thing is one of my favourite machines in the game. I got my very first Bolter's medal in this thing. It's just a killing machine. It's such a good tank destroyer. The Jagdpanzer E100, I don't know. I don't really like the look of it, but I can't judge it because I've only played half a dozen games in the thing on the patch 7.5 test server, so I can't really comment on this thing. The Jagdpanzer IV, I have played a lot of games in. And it's the games that I've played in it that have formed my opinion of this thing being a piece of shit. However, I haven't played this thing since prior to the patch 7.5 Matchmaker rebalance, and I used to have to drive this thing with that mediocre 88mm gun against Tier 9 heavy tanks. And this thing cannot kill Tier 9 heavy tanks unless the driver's AFK. It just can't do it. And so, driving this thing prior to patch 7.5, back when I drove it, long before I drove it, or long after I drove it rather, the thing was a turd. It had awful gun selection, and for a tank destroyer to have an awful gun selection is the kiss of death. However, this thing gets much better matchmaking now. A Tier 8 game is the worst game you're going to get into. And while you're still going to struggle with that 88mm gun against Tier 8s, it's not impossible. So, much against my better judgment, I thought I'd give this thing another go. Because, again, this is one of those machines that people keep asking for. I don't know why. It's like you want me to suffer. But I thought, yeah, oh, screw it. Let's have another go in the Jagdpanzer IV. So, quick look at the stats, and then we'll jump into the games. 600 hit points. That's actually really good. Because if you consider the Stug 3, which gets one-shotted by KV-1Ss, and is only one tier lower, 350 hit points. It's got almost double the hit points, and it badly needs them. Because it's going to be getting shot at by guns with great regularity. It's going to be getting shot at by Russian 122mm that do up to 390 damage. And if you only have 350 hit points, that's a significant problem. So the Jagdpanzer IV is immediately a more survivable machine than the Stug 3. It's also quite light, 25 tons, with a 440 horsepower engine. The engine isn't amazingly powerful. This is built, as the name would suggest, on the chassis of the Panzer IV, but it's still pretty quick. It will do up to 38 kilometers per hour, which is good. It's good. It's not as quick as the Stug. The Stug could do 40, but it's almost as quick as the Stug. And the one thing that I liked about the Stug was the speed, manoeuvrability, agility, and all that good stuff. And it is quite nimble. Look at that, 35-degree whole traverse speed. So again, this isn't bad actually. So it's reasonably fast. It's got enough health. What about the armour? Well, technically it's almost got the same armour as the Stug. 80 at the front, 40 at the side, 20 at the rear. The Stug also had 80 at the front, only 30 at the side, so 10 less at the side, but 10 more at the rear. But, 30, 30, 40, 20... It's still crap. But it's not about the thickness of the armour. The Stug, while it allegedly had 80 at the front, it really only had 80 in very, very small spots. And these welded bits, extra armour bolted onto the front. Everything else you could cut through with a hot knife. On the I'm looking at the wrong tank. On the Jagdpanzer IV, that 80 is actually honest. It is most of the front of the thing, and it is sloped in ways that the Stug really wasn't. So it's not well armoured. I'm not trying to say that, but you can bounce shots with this if you angle it, as I'll prove later on in the replays. So it's better armoured than the Stug. It's just as manoeuvrable. It's just as quick. It's just as low profile. It's just as stealthy. What about the guns? Oh, view range, not great, 330 metres, but it's a low-profile, closed-top tank destroyer. They are short-sighted machines, and the signal range is shit. No other way to put it. Best radio, the FUG 7, 415-metre range. That's garbage. So, what about the guns? Now, the best gun on the Stug was the long 75mm. That thing, the Stuck 42 L70 75mm gun, and it is a good gun. It got buffed when this gun was removed from the Panzer IV and retained on the Stug. They buffed the stats of the gun. They increased the penetration. They made it even more accurate. Not a bad gun. Well, you get that gun on the Jagdpanzer IV as well. In fact, the gun selection on the Jagdpanzer IV is almost exactly the same as the gun selection on the Stug. The only new thing in town is that. The 88mm Pak 36 L56. This is the tank destroyer version of the 88mm gun that all the German medium tanks get, that the Tiger gets, and so on and so on and so on. But it's the tank destroyer version. And what that means is it gets a better rate of fire than the medium and the heavy tanks. It gets better accuracy than the medium and heavy tanks. And it gets better aiming time than the medium and heavy tanks. And if we were to compare it with what is to all intents and purposes exactly the same gun on the 3601H, for example, you'll see what I mean. And there it is. So, much better rate of fire, 20% better rate of fire. So straight away it's 20% better DPM on the tank destroyer. The penetration is the downside of this gun, and it always has been the downside of this gun. 132mm is not good. 220 damage isn't terrible, but again, if you're doing that much alpha damage, it's a DPM machine. It's concentrated rate of fire, which is good because you've got the rate of fire on the tank destroyer, but it's bad because you're a tank destroyer, and if you're firing shot after shot after shot, it's inviting them to shoot back at you, and you don't have very good armour, and you don't have a huge amount of health. So you tend to find tank destroyers that have guns that rely on the DPM. The British tank destroyers are armoured like the Bank of England. You don't have that with the Jagdpanzer IV. You're relying on your stealth, and to a large part, as soon as you fire the gun, you give your stealth away. So that can be a problem. The gun is more accurate. It's a lot more accurate than on the medium tank. It's 0.38 on the mediums. It's 0.35 on the Jagdpanzer IV, and much better aiming time, 1.7 seconds. That's very, very good aiming time. That's practically British. 2.3, which isn't terrible. It's not bad on the mediums. So it's a better gun on the tank destroyer than it is on the medium tanks, which is just as well, because it's the best gun available on this thing, and it's not very good. And it's not very good because of that, 132 millimeters of penetration. Everything else about it is not bad. Right, the accuracy, the aiming time, the rate of fire is great, but the damage isn't fantastic, and the penetration isn't fantastic. It has a theoretical DPM of 2,316. Let's compare that to the other Tier 6 tank destroyers. Russia gets the Su-100. And there it is, and that has lower DPM. But it's not about the DPM with the Su-100, it's about the alpha damage. And yeah, if you park a Jagdpanzer in front of an Su-100 and you ask them both to shoot at a target, the Jagdpanzer will have higher damage output on the target, assuming all of his shots penetrate. But this thing isn't about that. This thing is about rolling up, firing from cover, taking half your health off with one shot, and then getting away. So it's not really a fair comparison. So what else do we have? Well, how about the Americans? What do they get at Tier 6? Well, they get two. They get the Hellcat and the Jackson. And the Hellcat still has lower DPM. Okay, that's quite promising. Same kind of gun as well. It's the 90mm. The 90mm gun on the Hellcat, better penetration, much better penetration, better damage, slower rate of fire, same accuracy and aiming time. The Jackson, effectively the same gun. In fact, it is exactly the same gun. Not effectively, it is the same gun. The UK at Tier 6 they get the Churchill gun carrier, which is kind of there, and it's got this massive 32-pounder. So it's more like the Su-100. It's monstrous penetration, good damage, even more accurate, which is surprising. Long aiming time, slower rate of fire. So that's actually a good gun on the gun carrier. But the British also get the 88. And the 88 is more of the same sort of machine as the Jagdpanzer IV as far as the gun goes. It gets this thing here. Quick firing 17-pounder. Better rate of fire, better penetration, not as much damage, more accurate, same aiming time. So there's that. And it's, again, it's the same style of gun. It's a machine that requires you to keep firing at the target. But the 88 can get away with that because look at the armour on it. It's 203mm thick at the front. It's 101 at the sides and rear. So the 88 gets into blazing gunfights and just weathers the return damage. You can't do that in the Jagdpanzer IV. What else do we have? The French? Yeah, the Arl V39. Oh, what a piece of junk this thing is. This thing is the reason why you should never just look at the raw stats of the gun. Slightly better damage, much better penetration, similar accuracy, much longer aiming time, slower rate of fire. But unfortunately, the gun in this thing has a 2.9 second aiming time, and you can only turn it that far left and right. And if a vehicle is moving, if it's doing anything other than moving straight towards or away from you, by the time that gun's aimed, you've got to move the tank. And you have to start aiming again. So this thing's just bloody awful. And then, of course, we get the Chinese, who don't have any tank destroyers. So the Jagdpanzer IV, that gun, it's that penetration. It's got the worst penetration of any of the Tier 6 tank destroyers, by far. And that's not such a problem in a Tier 6 game, although you're going to see that it can be. It's a bit of a problem in a Tier 7 game, and it's a serious problem in a Tier 8 game. And the reason why this machine was so massively shit was that prior to patch 7.5, you would have to try to use that gun in Tier 9 games against things like that. Yeah, good luck with that. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. Now Tier 8 is the biggest thing that this thing is ever going to face. So how is it going to do in today's World of Tanks battlefield? Well, I have given it medium caliber tank gun rammer, vents, and binocular telescope. And I've done that because you always want to put a gun rammer on. The aiming time of 1.7 seconds means that you don't need... Where is it? There you go, an enhanced gun lane drive. At best, this thing is going to take 2 or 3 shots from anything that shoots at it. Wet ammo rack, if you're getting shot at, you're already dead. You've already done something wrong in this thing. Worried about your ammo rack getting hit it's a bit late. And for the same reason, fuel tanks with CO2, nah, forget it, waste of time. Coated optics or binocular telescope. This thing is a real tank destroyer, right? It's sneaky, it hides, it sits in ambush, and it waits. It's very, very good at doing that. Coated optics, you would only fit if you expected your machine to be on the move a lot of the time. This thing sits in bushes and it waits in ambush. And so binocular telescope, it doesn't have fantastic view range to start off with, but you're going to spend a lot of time sitting still and waiting, and that's the ideal sort of machine to put binocular telescopes on, and it helps this thing a lot, because this thing so badly needs to get the first shot off. It needs to be starting the fight on its own terms. Binocular telescopes helps with that. Improved vents are basically, it's 5% to all of your crew skills. If a machine can take vents, I always put vents on it. Simple as that. Any other equipment that would be good? Not really. Again, toolbox, if you're getting shot at in this thing, you're doing it wrong. That's just the way it goes. So repairs, yeah. I think that you could argue a case for additional grousers. Not every machine can use them. And extra performance off-road is not a terrible idea, because this thing's main defences, it's not its gun, it's its stealth and its agility. And grousers would help with the agility and the speed. But I think the best combination on this machine is gun rammer, vents, and binocular telescope. As for crew skills, get Sixth Sense for the commander. On machines that actually have good camo rating, and this machine has very, very good camo rating, Sixth Sense is just, it's a godsend. It'll save your arse so often. It's a great commander skill to have in any kind of tank, but in a stealthy tank destroyer, probably more than any other kind of vehicle, it is an absolute lifesaver. For the gunner, you probably want to go with something like, well, even Snapshot. See, because it doesn't have a turret, Snapshot isn't fantastically useful. It will help you with your aiming time and your accuracy when you move the gun and not the hull, but it's got a 1.7 second aiming time anyway, so it's not massively useful. Deadeye is good, increases the chance to cause critical damage, but it's a perk. It's useless until it reaches 100%. I genuinely believe that the best way to go on this machine, because it is so stealthy, is to make the most of that and just go camo, 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 camo. And then as soon as the commander's camo reaches 100%, you swap that for Sixth Sense and then start training camo again. This thing lives and dies by being sneaky, being quick, and getting the first shot in, and then running away before you can fire at it. So, camo. But enough talk. I've rattled on for enough about this machine that I absolutely hated. Let's see if my opinion has changed with the new matchmaking that this thing gets. Right then, here we go. my first game in the Jagdpanzer IV in, easily over a year. Luckily, actually, I'm going to say it's a Tier 6 game. It's actually mostly a Tier 5 game. I'm the only Tier 6 on our team, which makes what happens all the more surprising. I've already said too much. So, it's Redshire. It's technically a Tier 6 game, because there are Tier 6s in it, but I'm it. There's one Tier 6 tank destroyer on each side. They've got the Brit, and we've got Fritz. So, I'm going to head up here. It's a Tier 6 game. I'm expecting people to behave like idiots. Right. So, watching our scout run up to the tank destroyer sniping spot doesn't even begin to surprise me. And I know, I've learned by now not to rely on your team to do anything useful when you need them to. So it's pretty much every tank for themselves. When you're playing games, when you're playing any rank of games, you see it happening in Tier 10 games too. You just expect it more in a game at this kind of level, because you've got a lot of people playing who still really don't know how their machines work, and you have to expect it. So I'm sitting here and I'm waiting, and I'm going to have a look around me, and oh god, we've got all the snipers up here. Okay, it's me and the Stug I would expect to see. The poor bastard in the Somnia South 40 is struggling up here as well. But what is a Panzer III IV and a Churchill 3 doing here? Oh well, never mind. Oh, hello Mr. KV1. Right, 88mm gun, firing armour-piercing ammo. Bounced. The range is only 350 metres. Eaten by his tracks. This, I just want to point it out, right? Eaten by his tracks, or something. This is the gun that historically was used on the Tiger. And the Tiger was designed to kill KV-1s. From a kilometre away. This is me completely failing. And I'm switching to HE now and getting so frustrated, and of course it misses. And then HE hits, penetrates and does no damage. And I've had enough. I'm switching. Now I'm switching to premium. Great, now they disappeared. And that right there is what is so bad about that 88mm gun. It does not perform the way it historically did, even against the kind of tanks that it was designed to kill. And it just point blank missed that Panzer III IV. Now, watch this Panzer III IV. I've seen artillery come in, I know I've been spotted. Back up behind the rock, and then, okay, oh, there's a target over there. I'm thinking, wait, why am I moving? Watch this prick, look at him. He's pushing me out of cover and hit the rocks. Okay, right, fine, no problem. I know exactly which team you're on. Right. So there's the guy who tried to get me killed, taken care of. Cover your eyes, kids. It's not big, it's not clever. And right away, switch back to normal armour-piercing ammo, and this gun just keeps missing. This was the gun that would one-shot kill Shermans from 1,000 metres in the Tiger. Fine. So there's my first proper kill. And we are losing. This gun has no business being on a tank destroyer. It's just not good enough. No. Bounced off the front of a Churchill 3. It's the Tiger's gun. It's better than the same gun in the Tiger. It's a tank destroyer version of it. Look at this. This is half the range. Finally, got him. This is half the range that this gun was actually used to one-shot kill Shermans. And I'm not taking any chances with that KV-1 now. This is only a Tier 5. That Churchill 3 is only a Tier 5. And I cannot penetrate them at anything other than point-blank range. So I'm not taking any more chances. I'll switch into APCR and I'm going to kill this guy. And I know his gun's damaged, his vision port's damaged, and both his tracks are gone. There's the old eagle eye perk kicking in. So I've taken a hit. Now it's time to put the manoeuvrability and speed of this thing to use. Ah. Bloody light tanks moving. Oh, and I've been spotted. And I've switched to high explosive now, because it's only an ELC. He's still up there. Okay. Gun elevation is letting me down, because I'm on a downward slope. I can't point the gun up high enough to shoot him, so I'm going to have to, drive me closer. I want to hit him with my sword. Now this can be dangerous, because it's an ELC. But I am pretty quick. Missed. Come on, reload, reload. Last HE, bang. Takes his tracks off, makes him an easy target for the Churchill. Hello. Finally. Gun actually starts performing the way it should. And that's the thing about this machine. It's a great machine with a really shit gun. And that's a problem in a tank destroyer. The Arl V39 has a complete opposite problem. It's a dog shit machine with a really good gun that doesn't work in the machine that it's in. And suddenly we're winning. There's only 2 of them left. Okay, got them both spotted. I was going to try to flank around and come up the spine of that hill, but no need, I know where they both are now. Now the 88 could be a problem, and I have 2 rounds of APCR left just for him. And AP bounced, so I switched to APCR. Intuition perk kicks in, automatically loads the APCR, fire blind, totally wasted. There's a Panzer III, IV, or 4, whatever it was, is over there. Do I really want to be using APCR on him? I should probably reload for AP right now. But I've probably forgotten that I have this loaded. There he is. Yeah, he's not especially well armoured, and I thought he was behind the building. But now I realise the Churchill's shooting him, so... Oh, come on, come on. I'm going to have to go around the Churchill. Take a hit there. That's in my right tracks, which means that the tank destroyer, there he is, yep, he can see me. So he's on the other side of this building somewhere. There he is, he's only on 7 health. He's killed the Churchill 3. I have the health, and all I need to see is that. Accuracy, don't let me down now. And there's, well, actually 6 kills. Technically 7 kills, but one of them was on my team. Well, tanks that are on your team don't push you out of cover in front of enemy guns. You do that, you've picked which side of the fence you're sitting on, and you suffer the consequences. So, yeah, that's not too bad. 2nd class mastery badge. First game I've played in this thing in well over a year. I did take an XP and credit penalty there for team killing that arsehole in the Panzer III, IV, but tough. And Top Gun, not too bad. So because I actually took the fine, I think I got fined 153 XP in that game. That cost me the most XP earned, but did the most damage, with the guy in the Stug coming in a very, very close 2nd place. So well done to him. Surprised that he didn't end up walking away with Confederate. Also, that Churchill 3 played a blinder. Considering the gun on the Churchill 3 only does something like 45 damage per shot, and he did 800 damage. That's really good, so well played to him. But it's the next screen that tells you everything you need to know about the Jagdpanzer IV and its gun. 31 shots fired, 23 hits, 17 penetrations. 0.35 accuracy? I'm calling bullshit. I always have, and I pretty much always will. This gun does not perform the way you would expect a gun with that kind of accuracy to perform. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. And it certainly doesn't perform anything like the L56 88mm gun did historically. It's a disgrace. It absolutely is a disgrace. The gun is the worst thing about this machine. It's barely good enough in a tier 6 game. It's not very good in a tier 7 game, and in a tier 8 game, oh man. Oh no, you need to be a master at positioning playing this thing in a tier 8 game to be able to do anything useful with that gun. That's always been the biggest problem of this machine. It's not such a problem now that it no longer gets into tier 9 games, but it's likely to be a significant issue when you get this thing into the kind of tier 8 games that this thing is going to get into. Speaking of which, here's a tier 8 game we prepared earlier. So we've seen how the thing can perform when it's the only tier 6 in what's pretty much a tier 5 game. And walked away with a top gun. But you should expect that when you're top dog. Like, you shouldn't necessarily expect it, but you shouldn't be surprised if the guy who's the only tier 6 on the team manages to get top gun. This game, on the other hand, yeah. Let's see, how many tier 6s do we have? 4. Everybody else is tier 7 or 8, so yeah, I'm going to have to earn my supper in this match. So who's coming with me? What do we have? We've got a Jagdpanzer, an Indian Panzer. That's going to be useful backup. An SU-152, and me. Now, I'm reasonably confident I can make it up to my preferred sniping spot up here without being spotted, because this thing's such a low-profile machine. And it has such a good camera rating. If I can just keep this line of bushes between myself and those guys in the village, yeah, done it. And here's this bloody gun letting you down over and over and over and over. And I'm firing AP, I'm not just using premium, and it's just bounce city. Range is 358 meters. Once again, this is the gun that the real Tiger tank used to kill Shermans from 1,000 meters away. And it is just not performing as advertised. It never has. It's not good enough. Okay, that is bad news. The Jagdtiger 88 is bad news, but I haven't been spotted. Speaking of bad news, oh, am I going to have to go back and deal? And I've been spotted, so I can't sit here. I have to move. I have to get off this hill line. We got an AFK. One of our tier 8s is AFK. Great. So this guy's nuking our Hummel. Well, actually, he's spotting, and their artillery is nuking our Hummel. We've got an AFK. Oh, the T-34's not AFK. He is actually moving, but it looks like the FCM-50T just... Well, he's sat in the cap circle the entire match, and now he's moving, and he's killed the 12T. Okay, good. Forgiven. Back up to my spot. Not been spotted. Need to be bloody careful though. I know that there's a Jagdtiger 88 over to my left. And now I can continue ineffectually bouncing shots off the Indian Panzer with this garbage 88mm gun. So I've had enough of this, and I'm switching to APCR premium ammo. Oh, hello. There's a Jagdpanzer IV over there as well. Well, he can't see me. And there's a Panther, and he hasn't seen me either. So I am using APCR on this guy, because he's angled. And you've seen what the performance of the normal armor-piercing ammo is like. His tracks are damaged. And I've ammo-racked him. And his turret ring's damaged. And he's lost a radio operator. And he's dead. So there's my first kill. Now I've been spotted again. I need to get the hell out of here. Oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. Get my ass behind this rock. Now, I've got APCR loaded. Do I really want APCR for this? It's only a Jagdpanzer IV. Oh, that'll be artillery. And we're losing 4-7. Oh, man. Okay, I need to break contact. Oh, is he coming round? Well, if he does, I can't hit him from here. Because I don't have the gun depression. There, okay. Now I've broken contact. And just in time, because that was the SU-8. Now they don't know where I am anymore. And we have friends who are running away. Oh my god. Well, great. So the Indian Panzer's abandoning me, and bang. Now, actually, I'm just going to rewind that because that was quite important. While I was watching what was going on my right flank, the Jagdpanzer is going to come around. Now, I was kind of lucky in that the Jagdtiger 88... Ah, there he is. Get a shot into him, and then I turn and angle my armour. And now I'm going to win. Because now I've hit him twice, and he's only hit me once, and I only need one more shot. However, he spotted me again, and I already know that artillery has taken an interest in this sector, so I've got to be unpredictable until I pop off his radar. And the trick is to just never be where they think you are. Having a look around, the Jagdpanther, they're all abandoning me here. That Jagdtiger 88's up in front of us. We're losing 7-9, and they're all abandoning me to my fate. Okay, Indian Panzer nails the Jagdpanzer IV, or IS-6 in the 10 kills a T-34, and suddenly the scores are even. So this is actually looking a lot more winnable now. Now I still know there's a Jagdtiger 88 down there somewhere. And there's that bloody Indian Panzer again, and I still have 2 rounds of APCR. Let's not waste them. Keeping one eye on the map, because I don't want that Jagdtiger 88 appearing on my left. Come on. God damn it, missed. Down to my last round of APCR. And it bounces. And now I'm using AP. Again, keeping an eye on the map. Got him! Kill number 3. So, Jagdtiger 88 is on the other side of that rock, I think. And I'm moving erratically because Sixth Sense only kicks it. There he is. Now, Sixth Sense only kicks in 3 seconds after you've been spotted. And I'm past the moment of danger. He has not spotted me. Now I've appeared on his map. I have 325 health. His gun doesn't do 325 damage. I can take a hit. There it is. I cannot take another hit now. There's just him. In fact, no, there we go. Their last T-34's dead. This is the last guy of the enemy team. Now the team are trying to help me. They are trying. But his gun's pointing at them, so I'm on my own for the moment. T-71's going, I'm coming. It's okay, guys. I got this. And there's kill number 4. And that was very much a tier 8 game. So, that's not too bad. That's my Master Tanker badge in the Jagdpanzer IV. This is the 3rd game I played in it. I played 2 games. You saw one. In the second one, the team was a disaster. We only got 6 kills between us, and I got 2 of those. And then that is probably the worst matchmaking you're ever going to see in a tier 6 vehicle, and still did well. That's 1600 XP, undoubled. 42,000 credits, not bad. And this was surprising. That FCM50T, when he eventually woke up, turned out to be bloody good. He was probably AFK for a reason at the start of the game, but once he woke up, got back into it, he was a really, really valuable player to have in your team. But still, the little tier 6 tank destroyer in a very, very tier 8 game came very, very close to being first in XP earned and came second in damage done, despite 25% of every shot I fired failing to do any damage. So, summary. Well, it's difficult to hate a machine that you can do so well in. And while I still think this thing is the weak link in the German tank destroyer line, it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. And that's purely down to the new matchmaking that it gets. Only getting into, at the very worst, tier 8 games has just breathed new life into this thing. It's still far from being the best German tank destroyer. but it's not as bad as it used to be. That gun is still seriously lacking, however. I mean, you saw how it performed. And you're probably going to want to carry some premium ammunition in it. The good news is that's not quite such a game breaker as it is in the Stug, because this thing gets a much bigger ammo capacity, so you can afford to carry more ammunition and vary the ammunition up a little. You certainly don't need to just ride with premium, but what I've done is go with half a dozen APCR, some high explosive, and still have more ammunition, standard AP ammo, than the Stug can carry in its entire inventory. So it gives you slightly more options. I would probably have to say that I'm not going to go so far as to say I like this thing. It's still a bit of a letdown after driving the Stug. And you're still probably going to be grateful to get rid of it and put the crew in the Jagdpanther, because the Jagdpanther and the Stug in their tiers are just so much better than this thing. This thing certainly isn't the worst Tier 6 tank destroyer, not by a long chalk. That award goes to the Arl V39, which is just pure garbage from start to finish. But the Jagdpanzer IV is definitely not as bad as I thought it was, not anymore. And it's certainly nothing to be afraid of when you're grinding down the German tank destroyer line. So there you go, Jagdpanzer IV, German Tier 6 tank destroyer. Not as bad as I may have led you to believe, and certainly not as bad as it used to be. Hope you enjoyed the review, guys. As always, take care on that battlefield. I'll catch you next time.